So welcome back to the Rigby Campfire podcast. We're at Dallas Safari Club 2024. Got a very special friend and Rigby customer, one of our originals actually, Larry Leadingham. Thanks so much for sitting down with us today.
Pleasure and honor, Mark.
How are you finding the show?
I'm finding it great. This is kind of a special show, I think, because as we all know, it's moving to Atlanta for the next 5 years. So this kind of makes it special for saying goodbye for a while.
Absolutely, yeah. It's coming to Dallas every year, in the new year. It really, I don't know how you feel, it really lifts one's spirits, you know, like having everyone together who's so passionate about hunting, about guns, all in one space. You can't help but just feel awesome being in this hall.
Yeah, we always look at it as a kickoff to the new hunting year, a kickoff to the new year, and an extension of the holidays is the Dallas Safari Club. And I think you did something very special with this big booth here. This is really awesome. Yeah, come a long way.
No, it definitely come a long way. I remember, you know, to say you're one of our original customers. You've had a few Rigbys from us now, and you know, in those early days, frankly, we were selling you fresh air. I mean, I think when we sat down the first time, I don't even know if I had anything to show you.
No,
and well, actually, why don't I think it'd be better from you the story of our first gun that we did together when we got back to London. I'd love to hear that.
My wife was wanting a Rigby. And I wanted a Rigby. Who doesn't want a Rigby? And we had a 20th anniversary that was on the way, and she's already starting to make hints of what she wants. And when we came to visit you and hunt with your father there at the estate, you had the Rigby rifle there. And she's handling it and says, "This is perfect. It's like it's meant for me. Remember our 20th anniversary coming up. The Queen has a Rigby. Your Queen should have one." So, and you fitted her without her knowing for that rifle. Yeah. And then a few months later, you called me and said, "Hey, we're starting a rifle. I need you to send me some money."
And I don't think we even had a price list.
No, we didn't.
They just sent me a blank check. I think that's how it was. Oh, absolutely brilliant. It's, you know, and we've talked to so many people now on this podcast, customers, you know, industry leaders. But you know, one of the things that keeps coming up is how in those early days, you know, we really didn't have anything. We didn't have stock guns. I was talking to Kevin from Blaz USA earlier. You know, we had, I think, 4 guns, of which 2 of them we borrowed to have on the booth the first year. And people like yourself, you believed in Rigby's. And let's not forget the condition where Rigby's was. It just come out of California. Kent Porter and the guys had done a great job in Dallas, Texas here to start rebadging and putting the thing back together. And then when we got hold of it, we had to start from scratch. And you know, people like yourself really stepped up and believed in the brand. They believed in me, a 25-year-old kid that was hardly shaving, and put money on the table and said, "I believe in you. Let's go and make this happen."
Well, you know, from you worked for Paul Roberts since he was like, what, 5?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I remember when we were sitting over here, and you and I were talking in the afternoon, and the group came and pulled you aside and made the announcement that they had purchased Rigby and wanted you to move it back to London. And I don't know if you remember, but I said, "I will buy a rifle from you." You
were, in fact, after my father, you were the first person I spoke to. That's actually quite something. I just realized that because, as you said, Paul Roberts and I were consultants for Rigby America at that time for a couple of years while they were, you know, sorting out trademark issues. They repartnered with Paul, who is a legend of the Rigby story himself, and they were building a few guns. And we were working on the booth here, and one of the American owners said, I think you were sat there, in fact, you're part of the furniture on the Rigby booth. You're always one of the regulars here, even on the American Rigby booth. And one of the American owners came over and said, "There's a man who'd like to meet you. He owns Blazer, and he wants to have a chat." And I walked off from there, and we walked around this hall, and we went round, and we talked about what, you know, talked about on this podcast before. He said, "We're going to buy Rigby's, and we've heard you might be the guy who can do it. You got 10 minutes to give me a pitch." I was like, "Oh my God." So, and essentially what I told him was what we've since done, you know, with the Big Game and the Rising Bite, and how we've, you know, recreated the brand. And yeah, I came back, I phoned my father, and I said, "You'll never believe what's happened. But I have no idea, you know, they've offered me this job, they've offered me a position as a shareholder. I have no idea, I know what I want to do there, but I have no idea how to run a company. I don't know what a P&L is or a balance sheet." And Dad gave me some great advice. He said, "Look, you can learn all of that, you can't learn an opportunity." And he said, "You go and get it." And you were the first person after that I told. That's very interesting that you remember that.
Yeah, I remember it very well because for me, you know, as a kid, I dreamed about owning a Rigby. Yeah. You know, I was a poor redneck kid who grew up on a farm, you know, and but I dreamed about Rigby's. I read everything I could get my hands on. I was like, one day I will own a Rigby. And to me, our legend of Rigby began with you and I meeting.
Yeah.
And, you know, that rifle of my wife's has a history now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I ordered that from you. You made that rifle for her. Used an original open door action for it.
And intermediate action, yeah.
And you presented it to her for our 20th anniversary gift here at DSC.
Which was a surprise, but we had it on the wall there, didn't we? And I think we walked her over and sort of said, what do you think of the guns? And her eyes lit up when she saw this little ladies model at the top, and we let her handle it. And I think you actually spoke to her in Spanish, I think, when you told her.
Well, you told her it was built for a special customer.
Yeah, it was
very special client. And you said, that customer is you, Claire. And she really didn't understand at first the shock that was her rifle that you had built for her.
Yeah. Well, no, thanks so much, Larry. You've been, you know, so many of our customers, they're great customers. They've become really special friends over the last decade. And you've also, I think it's important to mention, you've also been a great sort of source of counsel. I found myself over the years sort of quietly coming to you saying, what do you think about this? Or, you know, launching new rifles. I remember in the early days now there's so much love for the brand, and it's this sort of it's got so much momentum. But in the early days, there were one or two haters out there, and a few people were sort of naysayers. And I quietly come to you and say, "Oh, I saw this on the forums, and it's quite crushing for a young person." And you gave me some really great advice and things. And what I say is, you've always been a huge supporter of ours online, fighting for the cause.
Well, it's easy to fight for something that's right. And I don't have any tolerance for people who are going to just gossip and say things based on zero knowledge.
No.
If you don't like it, don't buy one. But
no.
if you own one, you'll never want another rifle.
Absolutely, and I think Rigby's, when we inherited it 10 years ago, there was green shoots of rebirth from Kent's hard work, but there was a hell of a long way to go, and it was a huge effort from the people at the company, the customers. All of us have worked hard to bring this name back, and this name deserves to be back because Dallas Safari Club is an amazing organization. It's a great show. We've got all these incredible brands and famous hunters and people here, and Rigby deserves to be here because without companies like Rigby, safari hunting in general is just poorer for it.
Yeah, to me, a hunt, it's much more than just killing an animal. In fact, that's almost the anticlimactic end, sad end to a hunt. It's so much more: the traditions, the firearms, the kits you're carrying, the people you're with, knowing that you're helping the local economy and conservation through your actions. There's just a huge big picture thing that most people do not see or understand. And feels a lot more special walking through the woods with a Rigby.
Absolutely, that's a great feeling. Like walking up on a dangerous game animal with whether it be a 416 or a 2-pipe rising bite in your hands. That weight there. You do feel good doing it, and supported by a product which, I actually hate that term product because it's Rigby's is so much more than that. But a rifle, something with a soul, with so much passion's gone into, which is reliable, it works, it's got a 250-year pedigree behind it. Rigby's has been in Africa for the best part of 3 centuries now, and you're following in the footsteps of famous people like W.D.M. Bell, Jim Corbett. It's a special thing. Well,
and for us, we really appreciate being along with the rise up of Rigby reestablished itself as a leader in the traditional firearms market, because Claire and I met you years ago, and we've been there the whole time, and we love to see, like Stevie Frazier, the stalker that we hunted with. He was in the video when you announced the Highland Stalker coming out. And I don't know if you recall, I came up to you one day here at DSC with a Dakota in my hands. I said, why can't Rigby make a working man's Rigby? And you said, we're working on it, mate. We're working on it. And I go, make me one in 30-06.
Absolutely. Well, was that your second Rigby?
That's my second Rigby.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're sort of definitely part of the inner circle of trust. You've sort of spilled the beans and told you a few secrets before they've come out. But yeah, no, I do remember that. Something else I wanted to talk about, Larry, is, Rigby, it's so much more than just a company, so much more than a commercial enterprise. And I try and use it as a platform to promote things like the Dagga Boy Award, which has become, something we're really passionate about, trying to change the culture and the ethics that we all share in the kind of buffalo we should be shooting. And something else slightly more less known that we're very passionate about at Rigby's is supporting ex-servicemen. We have 3 ex-servicemen in London. I know you're ex-US Special Forces, and something I really like actually that you do in America, which we don't do in the rest of the world, is to thank you for your service. And that really means something to us at Rigby's. And there's a a quality to you guys who have been through that training, however long you've been in, which is just a cut above civilians on the rest of the street. And I love employing ex-military people. They're just the caliber of human that they are is something very, very special.
Well, first off, thank you for that. Military people, you know, I've had conversation with people where they've made off-color comments about military, and I've told them, well, you know, the military is not a warehouse where we need 10 of these type of people. It doesn't work like that. Military are the sons and daughters of that country. Yeah. So if you have a good country, you're going to have good sons and daughters. If your country's going through struggles, that's the kind of people you're going to get as well. So it's a snapshot of how that country is, and I think military kind of draws some of the better quality people, and they teach you a lot of things, discipline, and I think the Rigby link with the military is a lot of great military guys carried Rigbys. Absolutely. Military people are big on tradition, which Rigby, your team pointed out to me to show that 250 years kicks off next year. Yeah, that's a long time. That's longer than the United States have been around. Absolutely, yeah. So I think the tradition is one of the things. I mean, we have, you know, our little blog now where we chat on what's up with military guys around there, several of us. So yes, so not many people know this at home, but we have, you know, we use WhatsApp and other social media platforms for communicating within the company with clients. It's just such a quick way of sharing photos, videos of gun manufacture. And we have, is it called the Rigby Military Tribe? Yeah. And I've actually stepped back because I've just felt my membership was undeserving. And Larry's now sort of the unofficial head of this. So we've got some of our guys at the company who are ex-military and a few customers on there. And you guys can share stories and talk about Rigbys from that viewpoint. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, we share, you know, pictures of our rifles being used in the field, what they're supposed to do. You know, you don't buy Rigby to make it a safe queen. You have to take it out. Absolutely. And I think what's so interesting is if you look at the customers that we have, they are generally speaking very entrepreneurial, adventurous, explorer types, which I think is personified with military people. We have a lot of current and ex-servicemen as customers at Rigby's, both now and historically. And I think that speaks to the type of people that support the brand. Well, yeah, I agree with that 100%. Military people, you know, we like an adventure. Yeah, Rigby has a long history of adventures, and yeah, I can definitely see why so many of us are drawn to the Rigbys. Absolutely. Well, the next thing I want to talk about, Larry, is, you know, I've shamed you now into 3 Rigbys. I think, and I am working on the 4th, and in fact, that really, by complete coincidence, we find that 4th rifle on the bench in front of us. This is the new Rigby Lightweight, which is, as I said in a press meeting yesterday, is the rifle I've always wanted to make. You know, we learned so much in 10 years of coming to the shows, showing the products, listening to what people wanted, listening to the criticisms. That's not an easy thing to do, is to have people being critical of your work. And you can go one of 2 ways. You can either do nothing and ignore it and say that you're right, or you can listen to people saying things and say, do you know what, maybe these people have, you know, maybe people have got a point here. And I think success in business is all about giving the people what they want. It's not about telling the people what they want. So yeah, we find here now the new Rigby Lightweight, which is available currently in 350 and 300 Holland & Holland. It's based upon the original Big Game platform, which we launched, I want to say 8-9 years ago now. I mean, that's, you know, do you know we did over 1,000 of those rifles? Wow. In 10 years, yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we've trimmed up the stock, we've lost the cheek piece, lighter barrel profile, and this is based upon the 350s which sit within our museum in London. And I know that we've got you on the hook and we're just gently reeling you in, Larry. Be really interested on your take on the rifle, and please, if you'd like to pick it up, you'd be very, very welcome to do so. You remove my rings here. Of course, if you scratch it, you've got to buy it. That's why I'm removing my rings. I saw this rifle. I came straight here when we got here Thursday. I came straight to the booth to see this rifle, and I'm very impressed by it. I mean, it's sleeker, it's lighter. It's like the wood is just out of this world fantastic. And you went with a lighter shade, yeah, rather than the traditional reddish. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, with something new, something different, that was the right thing to do. It's a beautiful rifle. 350 Rigby, that's going to be hard to say no to. Well, absolutely. Well, the interesting thing with the red is that traditionally Rigby's did have quite a red coloured stock, but they were using French walnut and they were selecting woods like this and they were staining them.
But the sheer number of guns we're making now, and we're using Turkish walnut because the French walnut is all but gone.
Really?
If you stain it down as we have been, if it receives any sort of scratching, which, as you said yourself, these are not safe queens. They're made to be used. We want these things to be used. And people then want to refinish them in any way, it then gets patchy because, of course, as soon as you start to refinish the oil finish on the top, you're then removing colour from underneath. And the guys in London who are putting these together are very, very experienced in that oil finish. And it's not easy to transfer that knowledge. I mean, frankly, our oil finish, even I don't know what's fully in there. It's like a secret recipe that the guys are using. And trying to transfer that information to someone perhaps here in America refinishing, it's very difficult to get the finish right. So what we decided to do is that we would stop with the red finish. We would hand select every single blank to be as dark and as naturally red as possible. And of course, there's a spectrum. Wood is a natural living thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing you find with it is it really makes the figure pop. You know, it really, as soon as you put red stain onto a piece of wood, you lose 2 sort of grading points on it. And I've got to say, I'm really, really proud of the product we got there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Y'all did this right. I'm very impressed by it. Yeah. There's probably one of these in my near future.
Yeah, I think so. In fact, once we wrap up the podcast in a little bit, we'll probably be sitting down with Maria, who's just off camera with a laptop. In fact, how's that order confirmation going?
You're not going to do your typical marketing and sales technique, Larry. Your rifle's being built. Send me money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can just leave a blank check. I mean, that's also going to work. But yeah, I mean, and on that, it'd be really interesting if you share what has been your experience as a customer buying from the company.
Okay, where do I go with this? I don't feel like a customer. I feel like I became part of the team with the product. I mean, customer is somebody who just goes and buys a car at the car lot and gets the best price. You know, that to me, I feel like I'm like a part of your team. That's why I'm always excited when y'all have something new coming out. I watch your blogs. You and I chat regularly. You know, I feel like I'm part of this.
You are part of the team.
Even though I'm just happily sitting in the background watching, being a unresponsible observer, watching y'all's success. And you know, like I said, as a part of that team, I just remember our first conversation and where you are now. It's just amazing.
No, well, no, thanks, Aaron. And it really is down to you guys as the customers who've really stepped up and supported us from those early days where we had nothing to now where we're on this huge booth at Dallas Safari Club with, I mean, yesterday it was absolutely pumping on here with people. There were 50, 60, 70 people at sometimes on here. You couldn't move.
Well, I mean, you buy a Rigby, you just didn't just buy a rifle. You didn't just go to the local store, big box store, and buy a rifle, and you're one of so many different customers that has one of those. To me, you're signing up as an investment with a part of the team and the Rigby legend, the history. So I think that makes it very special.
No, thank you very much. Well, I'm really interested to know what your advice would be to anyone at home who's perhaps thinking about, you know, becoming part of that Rigby family, that Rigby team, the Rigby tribe, should we call them that? They've maybe been watching the company for a few years, maybe just getting into safari hunting. Interested on your take on that.
The whole experience of the hunt, doing it with a better rifle, with a nicer rifle, with a traditional rifle, a rifle with a history, makes the hunt so much more special. And anyone who's on the fence on getting a Rigby, I always tell them you'll never regret it.
Yeah.
I had over 200 guns when I bought my first Rigby.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
Yes, I had over 200 firearms. And over the years, I saw when I reached in, I wasn't grabbing the other rifles. I was grabbing my Rigby. And it reached a point where, let me move some of these on to new owners who can enjoy them, because right now I enjoy my Rigby. That's the one who calls my name. And like my Highland Stalker, I call it's like Thor's hammer. I hold out my hand, it just jumps into it. Because it just feels right.
No, brilliant. No, thanks so much, Sarah. I think that's a really nice way of wrapping up our little conversation here today. And thanks so much. And please give our best regards and love to Clara. She's also, I think we can't lose sight of all of the wives of our customers that we've got around the world who are also supportive of their husband's addiction to the Rigby product line. So, you know, much love to her as well. Thanks, Harry. Cheers.